Many of you guys might remember the TV show Mythbusters, and honestly, I've had so many people ask me questions about this game that they are confused on the truth. So I thought, why not do a Mythbusters style video giving you guys kind of some information on some of the truths, and I actually put out a questionnaire asking many people from my community on myths they believe or don't understand in this game and if they want some clarification. So these are actually going to be some of the top questions that I'm going to be answering for you. So starting off, guys, with one of the biggest ones, if I'm honest with you, that actually did used to work 100%, but I don't know if it still works. So let's test it out. The question is, can you send your collector to multiple collection trucks before sending it home and gather both resources? Now, I have tried this in the past and it did work before, but that was a long time ago. Does it still work? I don't know. I don't even do that myself anymore. I literally just send it out to one. So this, for example, collector here was originally inside of the crude oil, and it has 3.6 million crude oil in it. I sent it straight to here without actually returning it home. So let's see, do we get crude oil and the military funds as well, or do we only get the crude, or do we only get the actual military funds and we've lost out on the crude it is already accumulated? So one thing we're going to do is we're going to return it, and if I go to send a unit here, it shows you on everything that it's collected. So as we know, this one here, number 4, has prior to this collected 3.6 million crude. So I'm wondering, am I going to lose out on that 3.6 million crude? I guess we're going to find out now. So I am going to return this to base, and then I'm actually going to click on here, and it will show me right now that it is collected 3.6 million of the money. Okay, so I'm confused now because I know for a fact I got crude. So let's have a look to see what we actually earn. Okay, so we did earn the crude oil at 3.6 mil, and we did also get the little bit that we gained from the actual farm here. So again, I actually done the same again for the gold. I wanted to double, triple check. Now, I have started to collect a little bit of gold from here. I never go to these gold collectors. They're not really worth the time. But if you look now, you should see up the top here that I'm going to gain both military funds and gold. So there's the myth, guys. You can send your collectors to multiple things at a time, but the question is, how many can you send them to? Actually, this is a question I also don't know. So again, I think this is something very important to see, because is there a limit to how many you can send them to? Can you send it to one of them and then send it to another and then send it to another and then just keep sending it over and over again and then collect all of it at once? It is a good question. I don't know. Maybe there is a limit on the amount you can collect, not necessarily how many different variations you've been to. So quite simply, we're just going to sit here and collect a little bit. Now we're going to go over to here and we're going to collect a little bit more. So here it is. We need to get it from here. So that's 1,000. Now we're going to send it over to this one. We'll also send it over to the nearest crude, which is also over here. In fact, I think I'm going to send it straight to the crude first, because the direction's probably going to be a little bit easier. Then we'll go to this one, then we'll go to the gold, and then we'll return home, and we're going to see whether or not we get them all. Okay, so here we are, guys. We are now going to return this thing. Again, as I mentioned, it may be that it's limited due to the amount you can take, but let's see if it collects all 4 of them now. Yep, all 4 did get collected, so you can send to multiple, but again, maybe there's an actual limit on the amount you can collect. So let's just say you've got 3 million, you got 3 million, 3 million, 3 million, 3 million, and maybe it only saves up to, say, 10 or 15. I'm not 100% sure on that part, but you can send to multiple at once, and therefore, technically, you could save up a lot to then redeem on the Monday. So, for the first one here, it is not a myth, and it has been busted. Moving on to the second one, and this is actually a pretty big one as well. Info Warfare Hub. The amount of people that still, for some reason, think that this is only for air units. Okay, so the airspace control and the shared airspace control is only for air units, correct? But everything on this right-hand side, whether it be your offense or whether it be your defense, whether it be the data mining, this is for all of your units on that specific camp. So any Liberty unit that has any form of offense will gain these buffs. So every single one of my Liberty units has a guaranteed Liberty firepower buff of 20% all the time. Now, of course, if this is not on, which is part of the data mining, you can obviously show that technically it's only 16.8%, but I do have the modifier active, which gives me an extra 20%. So obviously I have them all turned on right now and they will last another 12 days, but once that's over, I can continue using these to actually make them even stronger. But again, guys, this is for every single unit. I hope that people understand that. I did mention this in many videos before, but still to this day, so many people are telling me or asking me whether or not it counts towards both ground and boats and everything else. It does. It works for everything, guys. Moving on to the next one here, guys. We're going to be talking about what some newer alliances may think. Obviously, this used to be actually the thing back in the day. Like, I mean, maybe 4-5 years ago. But it ended very, very fast. Now, this is going to be talking about the alliance and your all-time power. And when it comes to your all-time power, some people still think that if you are to remove your units and make your commander a lot smaller in power, you're going to get matched up with smaller power people. This doesn't work anymore, guys. The way that it actually works is it goes off of your all-time power. So, as you can tell, my power right now is 507 mil, but my all-time power is 554 mil. So when during matchmaking, it will go off of my all-time power. That's how it works. Okay, guys? So, yeah, a lot of people still seem to think that if everyone in the alliance makes your alliance a lot smaller, if we all untrained our units, guys, we'd probably be sat at about 5 to 10 billion, probably. It doesn't mean we're going to be going into silver. We will still be going into gold 2 and facing the people that are relative to our all-time power. The next one is kind of a semi-controversial thing. So, a lot of people still think that you need to put I as the leader for you to be able to gain his skill. Now, the skill in question here, guys, is going to be the Awakened skill. Now, it says increases the officer skill boost of this officer's troop against hostile bases when leading an artillery troop. Although this is a sort of translation error for some people, I think it's Spanish, I might be wrong there, but with some of the translations, apparently some of them say that they need to be captain, but I'm not 100% sure on that. But when it says when leading an artillery troop or whatever the leading might say, it does not mean it needs to be a captain. It means it just needs to be on your unit. Whereas if you was to go and check out someone, for example, Flame, his actual skill does state that when serving as a troop captain, and the captain is someone who is the person in first place. You got the captain, you got the aide. That is how it works. When leading means it could be anywhere, but captain means it has to be in first place. So the next one I have here kind of links two together. So the first one I have mentioned is higher power units beat lower power units. And this coincides with another sort of topic I had here, was if a shit officer awaken is better than an unawakened officer just because it gives more power. Now, those are two separate bullet points I've got here, but we'll kind of convert them into one and I'll explain it. So, for example, if you go along your list here, you can obviously see loads of different officers. Now, let's just say here I have my unit. It's currently at 37.7 mil, and it just has these two generic officers on. But let's just say, for example, both of these officers are tank officers. They're not technically designed for the infantry, meaning that not all of their skills will be working. Does that mean that, for example, if I was to go and add on, say, someone else who isn't as strong, let's just say we go over here and we add Percy, and then we add, again, this is just an example, we go on and we add Lady Shadow. Now, the best way to really go through and look at this is, I'm actually going to change Percy because it's a really bad example for what I'm trying to show you. Let's actually add on someone who makes sense in this situation, say Everbloom. So you would need to go through, guys, and it's all about math really, is you need to go through and look at all the skills. So all of these skills do work on an infantry. It is an infantry officer. Now, if I was to go to Lady Shadow, all of these skills will also work on the infantry because it's an versatile officer, but they're only level 1, most of these. So the question is, what will be better? Will these level 1 skills, or in this case, this one's level 5, be better than having, say, for example, like we had earlier, some of these skills where half of them don't even work because obviously they're designed for a tank. This is going to be more for the smaller people. If you're someone who's played the game a lot, you have all your officers awakened, this doesn't really apply to you. It more applies to the people who are new to the game. So for this one here is very simple. All you need to do is go through, have a look at the different levels of the skills and kind of have a look at what they do, the amount that they do, and whether or not they're better. So most new people will own Percy, hence why I kind of grabbed her, because a lot of people have her and she is a versatile officer, meaning that she's going to do some decent things. But Percy is also a Generation 1 officer. She isn't the strongest, but brand spanking new to the game, she's pretty decent. But that being said, you also have someone like Lady Shadow, who is also going to be available for you at a Generation 1, but you can then later upgrade it to Generation 5. And you basically just need to go through, have a look to see whether or not the skills, although they might be a lower level, technically will actually be better for that unit overall. Obviously, I was just using infantry as an example. You could do the same thing with tanks. You do the same thing with any other unit on the game. And also, higher power unit beats a lower power unit. Again, this kind of coincides also with cost contaminating the different sort of units. You could have a 43 mil ATG, but then have, you know, an infantry that's 20 mil. That infantry will still win that battle because ATGs are terrible at attacking infantry, and therefore, just because it's a bigger number doesn't mean it's going to win. So again, there's a lot of variables when it comes to it, but I kind of wanted to introduce those two into one, because I get a lot of people generally asking, is it going to be better to use this officer that's not awakened rather than using this officer that is awakened? So all you need to do is simply just go through, check the 5 different skills and see what is going to be better in that current situation. Do you prefer to have, you know, the slightly less skills, but they overall do more benefit towards it, instead of having an awakened officer that really isn't giving that much benefit overall? Now, moving on to the next one here, we have got players who think the bonuses in cities are cumulative. Now, what people mean by that, guys, is if you go into the different cities, you have level 1 cities, you have level 2 cities, and you have level 3 cities. So let's go into, for example, over here, we have Lviv, which actually is owned by my alliance. We own this city and we own all of the sort of different things. You have obviously the different defense command centers, you have the different forts. If we go through, you got military tech zones. All of these things give you buffs. So for example, research speed, the one down here, this buff gives you, for example here, HP of 5%, and all of these have different available things. You got the offensive command center here, for example. All of these give different buffs and benefits. Now, a lot of people seem to think that, let's just say in Lviv, this is a level 1 city. It's either level 1 or it's a level 2. Let me triple check. It's a level 1 city. So if, let's just say, AFK have multiple level 1 cities, do the bonuses that you get from these things stack onto each other? The answer is no. They do not stack. So if you have a level 1 city and you own all the buildings in that level 1 city, it doesn't matter whether you have 1 or 20 level 1 cities, you're only going to get this one buff from one of them, which would be the first one you capture. Any extras that you capture will not stack on top of the ones you already own. But if you own a level 2 city, so for example, I need to find a level 2 city now that we own. I know we have one, I just don't know where it is. But let's just say you own a level 2 city. If there is buffs in a level 2 city, which I can easily find a level 2, for example here, right here, guys, we have a level 2 city, and actually this is the one we own. So, well, we don't own the middle, but we do own all of these. So again, this is another defensive command center that also gives HP of 5%, meaning we will actually get an extra 5% HP from here because it is a level 2 city. So a level 1 city and a level 2 city stack together, the same with a level 3 city, all stack on top of each other. But you can't have multiple level 1s, multiple level 2s, or multiple level 3s. Well, you can, they just do not stack. But yeah, it used to mention the fact that it does not stack. So yeah, I don't know why it doesn't state it anymore. Best thing I can advise, guys, is if you have a level 1, just be happy with that. Obviously, the only thing that you really want to capture at that point, guys, once you own all of the extra buffs and the faults and all of that, is the command center, because the command center obviously gives you these here to be able to get the city titles. So other than that, they do not stack from multiple level 1s, multiple level 2s, multiple level 3s. You can only get one of each. The one of each will stack together, but that is it. Moving on to the next thing, guys. We have got 0 units trained with Uncle gives the damage reduction to bases. For example, as you know, in a defense situation, let's just say right now I obviously have Uncle and I also have Steel Fighter on my unit, and both of these are on here for the same reason. Their awakened skill says when the troop is garrisoned in your base, it increases the officer skill resilience of your base by 30%. Uncle does the same. Over here, it says when this officer's troop is garrisoned in your base, it increases the officer skill resilience of your base by 40% and the base HP recovery by 5%. Obviously, the base HP recovery is very nice as well, but that means you're going to be getting a total of 70% resilience to skill shots on your base with these two officers. Now, for example, I currently have 122. I do have a buff on. I'm not too fussed about the buff. It's just a small one. But right now, my base has that protection. But let's just say, for example, I do this, which I see a lot of people actually mention to me. I'm no longer having this buff. The buff to my base protection is not active because although he's on a unit, the unit itself is not in the base, meaning it does not count. The best thing you could do, let's just say you don't want to use this unit, or maybe you don't even have this unit. Let's just say it's a 7.2, or maybe even just say a little old unit like this. You do not use this unit. You have no need for it. It's not going to help you, but you have your defense officers on for the protection purposes. Simply train one single unit, guys, and then all you need to do is redeploy your base and build your base again. And when you have this situation, you now have one unit in your base and these will now be active again. So you could obviously mitigate the amount of losses you're going to take, because let's be honest, if your base blows up, you're going to lose the unit regardless. So therefore, just train one of them. The rest will be able to be doing all of that, because let's be honest, guys, this unit, even if it was, for example, my main unit here, isn't going to be doing much damage. It's, you know, I do this quite often if I'm going to go to bed or something, especially if I'm low on reserves. I'm just simply training one unit here, because the only reason for this is purely base protection, not offensive in any way, shape, or form. What I wanted to explain from this point is you will not get it if you do not have it trained. You need to have the unit trained for it to be able to give you the buff. And this kind of coincides with another count that I have on here, which someone said that when players send out their MBT to attack an enemy RT during a base-to-base situation, it also nullifies the skill reduction. Again, this is another point that someone came through to me, and it kind of coincides with what we're talking about now. So a lot of people, and I actually see a lot of people do this, that in a base-to-base situation, they bring their MBT out to hit a howitzer to do some damage to it, which is great. There is nothing wrong with that. A lot of people do it, and to be fair, you should do that, you know? Bring out your MBT, quickly hit a howitzer, do some damage, pull it back in, whatever. But one thing you need to take consideration, guys, if you bring your unit out to attack someone and you want to do a little bit of damage for it, whatever the case may be, and your unit is outside of your base, you're not getting that protection. So if your unit is out of your base when that skill shot comes in and you have Uncle on that unit, you are not protected. Because it says when this officer troop is garrisoned in your base. So again, you have to have the unit in your base. So if you're going to bring a unit out, don't bring out the one that has Uncle or Steel on it, or even technically Vox on it. You need to have those defensive officers inside your base at all times if you really want to get that protection in. But definitely a lot of people I still see bringing them out, and they seem to think that they've still got that protection, even though they don't, because the moment that unit leaves the base, it does not have protection anymore. Okay, moving on to the next one here, guys, and that is that Thorn Countess is a good defense officer. The myth behind her being really good is early stage of the game, she was amazing. When she first came out, absolutely amazing. You could end up getting so much base HP because people had a lot of base HP compared to the amount of offensive power available. Then I came out. Then Futurist came out. Now we've got the Yardbird as well. And at this point, guys, if you have a big rally, you are dying within 1 or 2 skill shots. If you're a whale, you can survive 3, 4, 5, depending on how much on that whale scale you are. But overall, the average player in this game dies within 1 to 2 skill shots, especially if it's a big rally. Maybe in a base-to-base situation it's different, but of course in a base-to-base situation, your skill shots aren't going off as often. Most people are doing sort of the fast tap-tap stuff. Your skill from Thorn wouldn't be activated and stuff like that. So, with that being said, Thorn is not that effective anymore, purely from the basis of she only gives a little bit of HP from that shield. Back in the day, when you didn't die as quick, you ended up getting more skill shots on your base. So if you can survive 3, well, not even 3, if you can survive maybe 4, 5, or 6 skill shots, then you die, Thorn will be more effective because she's going to be proccing her shield more, meaning you're gaining that extra bit of HP. Now, most reports, if you have Thorn on, you'll probably see maybe 102%, 103%, 104%. That 4% extra isn't really doing much for you, and you could definitely go with Steel Fighter, Uncle, Vox, which give you much more protection than what Thorn's little 2, 3, 4% is giving you. Now, if you're a whale and you're getting like 7 or 8 skill shots to die, and every time that shield procs, you're going to be getting an extra 16, 17%. Like, I see some whales reports saying, you know, 130% extra, because Thorn is proccing so many times over and over that it really does benefit it. But yeah, if you're just an average player and you're not a mega whale, Thorn is no longer really that good. Let's just say I have 3 units that are completely useless and are not used at all. Then maybe she's worth just chucking on there. But I wouldn't go around awakening her or getting her at this stage in the game, because there's too many offensive options to really take your base down that quick, and it's not going to be that effective. Moving on to the next one, guys, and it's actually a really important one, a really big myth that a lot of people still think that skill boost works for shield officers. So as we know, there are a couple of skills in this game that give you skill boost. We got one from Pain, which is increases the officer skill boost of this officer's troop by 30%. We also have one from Red Heat herself, increases the officer skill boost. And we also have Antonina, increases the officer skill boost. Now, if you click on officer skill boost, it says here, an additional stat that increases the damage dealt by an officer's skill, including tactical skills, passive skills, awaken skills, and conquest skills. The final effect on damage is determined by comparing the troop's officer skill boost and the target's officer skill resilience. Now, here's the thing, guys. It is only for damage, the final effect on damage. Now, as we know, shielded officers do not give damage. They are a protection skill, okay? So, if you were to train a skill boost on here, it will not boost the actual shield at all. It only boosts offensive skills. That is it. So yeah, I see a lot of people actually putting skill boost on their shield officers thinking they're going to gain an extra bit of shield. Doesn't work like that, unfortunately, guys. It is only for offensive skills only. Damaging skills. Okay, so the next one here is actually pretty important, is that many players do not use bonuses given by the camps. And what they mean by that is camp skill bonus. Now, if you use 3 separate camps, the best you can get is 31% currently. Now, the reason for that is you have 5 units here, you have 3 units here, and you have 3 units here. Now, let's just say I'm not using this. I do not use this boat at all. It's never trained. It's just sat there doing nothing. I don't ever train it. Let's just say I remove this. I see a lot of people do this, you know. I'm not at C right now. I don't need that in there. So I see a lot of people just leave it empty. Well, if you now take a look at my skill, it's gone down to 27%. I've just lost 4% base and troop damage intensity and 4% troop and base damage resist. So you will end up losing on just the fact it's not in there. That simple. As quick as that, I've just gained 4%. Now, I've noticed a lot of people when in the C, for example, they've got their C stuff in, they've got their air stuff in, and they've just completely untrained all of these. Obviously, it doesn't matter if they're untrained. They could all be, like, untrained, but what I mean by it is they've fully removed it and they're all empty. So these are all empty and now have just their boats in that train. Again, you're going to end up losing out on those extra things. So what you're going to want to do, guys, is you're going to want to make sure that you have all of these filled up 24/7. No matter what one you're in, no matter what design you're using, you are going to want to have them all in every single time, all the time, every time, because otherwise you're going to lose out on camp bonuses. And here's the final one of the evening, guys, and it's a weird one, okay? It's a very weird one, but it's a very specific one, okay? And that's that a unit that is moving takes less damage from bombers. Now, technically, no, but in certain situations, yes. Now, let me explain. For example, if you've got a rally that's just sat there and you want to bomb a rally, okay, let's just say I want to bomb this rally here, okay, and boom. If these units are not moving right now, I would actually get more damage than if, let's just say, when I bomb it as it's moving, I will do less damage. And there's only one reason for that, guys, and it comes down to the officer. Now, if you see anyone using a Liberty bomber, and this only counts on Liberty bombers, if you are seeing someone with a Liberty bomber and they have Lone Eagle on it, they will end up doing more damage. It just says here, increases the bomb efficiency of this officer's troop by 20% and its damage intensity by 40%. The damage intensity is further increased by 25% if the target is stationary. So, again, I will gain 25% extra damage if that rally is not moving. But if a rally is moving, obviously I lose out on 25%. That is only in a very specific region of 1, if it's a Liberty bomber, and 2, if it has Eagle. So let's just say it doesn't have Eagle and I'm on a Liberty bomber, it's going to be the same. If I'm on any of the chasing bombers, i.e. the Vanguard or the Marty, there is no difference when you're bombing someone. Absolutely none. Now, what they might be trying to refer to, for example, is if you have, say, light tanks. Let's say you have a rally of light tanks and you're moving the rally around and it's being chased by a Vanguard or a Marty bomber, the anti-air of the light tank will not shoot at the bomber unless it is stationary. So if you are being chased and you have a rally of light tanks, it's better to sit still because then the light tanks will shoot at the bomber. But obviously, if you're moving and trying to run away, they're not going to shoot. But overall, guys, I hope this sort of came through with some help when it came to Mythbusters. As I said, most of them, a lot of people know, but there are even some of them that people, when I asked about this list, were confused on quite a few of them. They didn't even know a lot of them themselves until recently. So hopefully this will help you, especially if you're more new to the game. I'm hoping that every single point on this list managed to help you. But even if you have been a veteran of this game for a while, maybe some of them have also brought some new things to light for you. But as always, guys, I appreciate you all. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please think about hitting the like button below. And obviously, if you haven't already done so, subscribe to the channel. Please share the video out to all of your friends, your alliance, your server. And let's see if we can get more beautiful people attending the show. I appreciate you all, guys. And I'll see you in the next video. Take care, everyone.